So I saw this clip today and I was just so aggravated that it just took me a while to be able to calm down and think rationally when I saw this. And I never really thought of this before, but yes, it's true. Some people who live in Eastern Canada, places like Toronto, have no idea how things work in Western Canada. And then some people who don't know anything about politics in Canada just like get online and start talking about like the Premier of Alberta and just trash the Premier of Alberta for no reason. She's like, oh yeah, the government did this raid on the event center in Calgary, so they're trying to build that arena, and so the federal government, CBSA, the Border Security Agency, they did a raid basically on the work zone, like the construction zone of the event center in Calgary. And guess what? They found 4 people that they detained who were working illegally. They shouldn't have been there, right? And, this is Canada. This is not some tiny little construction company. It's a massive construction company in the city of Calgary and everything. It's not Danielle Smith's fault, okay? Basically, they make fun of Danielle Smith and talk about how, like, Alberta is turning into this horrible thing and blah, blah, blah. Look at what they're doing with these raids and all this crap. And it's like, do you not know where you live? You live in Canada. And I want to just shake this person because it's like, wake up. You live in Alberta. You drive down the highway towards Chestermere, and there's something called a scale, where there are border security officers stationed at the scale searching vehicles, commercial vehicles. They just never searched your vehicle before because you never stopped there. But it's literally every day for the last, say, 50 to 75 years in Alberta that they have been searching vehicles and doing raids. Every single day. And everywhere else in the country, in like Toronto and Montreal and places, especially Montreal, because they like basically search trains and they search for people who tried to smuggle stuff in, like they were smuggling those drugs from Belgium into Montreal and stuff like that. Every single major city they do these operations. This is not like a brand new thing. It's just that you didn't care before because it wasn't near you. But now that it's in Alberta and it's near you, that you're like, oh my gosh, the federal government's raiding people at a work site. It's like, give me a break. Like, you think the world doesn't continue on? You think you're the only person that, notices stuff in the world? It's so ridiculous. And that they can spew this garbage at Danielle Smith out when it has nothing really to do with Danielle Smith. It's the federal government that employs all of those border security officers, or CMP officers to highway sheriffs, maybe. They search cars. They do commercial vehicle inspections. They don't even do some of those at the scales. Like every single scale they do it at. But sometimes they have stuff right outside of Calgary where they stop and they do the commercial vehicle inspection thing randomly, where they stop truck drivers so they can find people who don't have like sufficient brakes on their cars, or they're not roadworthy. They just did one near Banff just a couple of days ago. Like, this is not some brand new thing that they're putting in. It's just you've never cared about it before because it never impacted your life. And so now it impacts your life to see these people being arrested. But this is something they do every single day. They do raids every single day in Canada. And that's to protect people like you and me from people like that man from Montana who came up here and kidnapped that little girl from Edmonton and brought her back and sexually assaulted her in the United States. Or it's from stopping people who rammed through the border last year in Coots, I think it is, and tried to get into the country that way. Or it's to stop people like the ones that got in last year, I think, or this summer. They were like historical criminals who were murderers who were hiding in Canada for like 20, 30 years. And it's to catch those people, to stop them from getting in. Or like the ones who were sending all those drugs from Belgium and to Montreal. That's why they have those raids, to stop us from being damaged by those criminals. Now, not everybody who's working on the event center is a criminal, but there's a reason why they're not giving their employer their actual information. They want to be paid under the table. So yes, thank you for doing that raid of that building so that we can make sure that they're building it correctly and that we don't have someone who's an illegal criminal in Calgary building one of the most important buildings in all of Calgary right now. Thank you to those people. And it's not Danielle Smith's fault, and it has nothing to do with Danielle Smith at all.